Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's workshop. I am Sami Arpa from LARGO, and the topic of today's workshop is the application of AI in movie production with a focus on Austrian movie industry. And today we will show you how you can apply artificial intelligence during your production process with an example movie. And then we will also provide some general overview over Austrian film industry. We aggregated data from the past movies, the analysis of our system on these movies. So there are some interesting insights that we have obtained that we will share with you. And we will also today talk about our collaboration with Austrian Film Institute to support 10 producers next year to use these tools for a duration of 6 months. For this workshop and then this program, we have this collaboration with Austrian Film Institute, and Roland Tehman, the director of the institute, is here today with us. It's great to have you here, Roland. Maybe we can have a few words from you to continue before continuing the rest of the workshop.
Yes, thank you very much, Sami. Hi, everybody. I'm not a robot. I'm Roland Teichmann, representing the Austrian Film Institute in person. I mean, as you probably all know, artificial intelligence is actually one of the fastest growing industries worldwide. And automation is increasingly important everywhere. And finding its way also into the creative sector and also influencing filmmaking and more the decision making, beginning with development up to distribution and production, of course. So this is something that I think we should reflect on. And is this good? I don't know. Is this the future of film? Maybe partly, but I think we should find out by trying out. LARGO gives us a very good opportunity for that. LARGO is a European project, which I quite like. Sami and his team will talk about this more in detail later, including a very interesting case study. So I think this is a sort of pioneering project with a good spirit. And for everybody who's really interested in it, actually the first concrete possibility to really work with a sort of US studio-like measurement, but for independent European productions. This is very important, I think. So this might not fit for all projects, for all systems, but I think it has, if you participate, an inevitable effect, which is learning. And learning is always important. And also very much in this context. So I think let's try to learn together with artificial intelligence. Even though creativity can certainly not be programmed, I'm quite sure about that, but it can be optimized and stimulated. So this is why I'm really pleased about the lively interest of so many people in our project here. And I'd like to take the opportunity to really thank Sami and his team from LARGO very much for this very kind cooperation. It's a great opportunity that we're all given here. And well, I'm really looking forward to entering a new world now with you together. So let's start.
Thank you very much, Roland. We are likewise very excited for this collaboration. So let's go forward. As Roland mentioned, we are a European company. We are based in Switzerland. And actually, we had a goal, we had a focus. We said, let's make such tools, such technology available for independent world and also European industry, European movie industry, because such systems are already used by Netflix, Amazon, by big tech platforms. They have technology, they have the data, and they evaluate your films as well. Once you go and you try to make a deal with them, they still evaluate your content with their technologies, but you don't have access to that. So you don't have any power over your negotiation. You don't have any of this technology also to take advantage of such systems. So this was an important motivation for us. I mean, we believed such technology is not only for big blockbuster films, just for Hollywood films, but we thought, yeah, it could be really useful for anybody producing film. I mean, I am a computer scientist as a background, but I'm also a filmmaker. So I had the very initial inspirations. I saw, I mean, how we can use technology and data in a great way to augment actually creativity, not to limit, to augment creativity, to give more tools, more opportunities for human to create great content, great packaging for the movies. So with LARGO.AI platform, you can analyze your screenplays or the video version of your content by uploading onto the system directly, and system provides insights about the content, market potential of the film. It provides casting propositions, and it also shows your potential audience just in a few minutes. So one value here, so it provides many insights in a very fast way. So there are type of insights that AI is providing. You can also come up these insights yourself as well, but it will take much longer time for you. Here you get these insights very rapidly. The other thing, these insights is less biased. Okay, here we have machine brings these insights in front of you. It doesn't have feelings. It doesn't have relationships. It just looks to it's learning from the past connection and then transcoding in the future. It brings these insights on your table. And one important thing here also to emphasize, it doesn't make a decision. So it brings you insights in front of you. The decision maker is still human. Okay, so I mean, as you were getting critics from other people or opinions of other persons, here you get also some insights from AI, but still you should make use of these insights. You should still think on that. You should make these decisions to make them useful. Otherwise, yeah, it doesn't make anything for you to bring the success. And the main fundamental thing of our technology is this content understanding system. This is our patented technology. So here the system tries to create like an ingredients of a movie, main ingredients of a movie. As we can represent music with some musical notes on musical sheets that can give us a lot of aspects about a song, about a music. Here we want to create some sort of patterns as well, which can tell a lot about the content by just looking at these graphs. So here, yeah, we created this genre understanding system. I will show you an example, age suitability understanding system. Also this genome system, basically creating like a DNA of the film. So basically we can represent a movie in a very narrow space that can give us a lot of information about the film just by looking at these patterns. And then over these patterns, so this is like, as I mentioned, it's like ingredients of the film. The system is also learning what kind of ingredients, creating what kind of results in the market by again analyzing, learning from the past data. This is how it can make predictions for the financial results or the audience. So here, for financial predictions, I know that is something many producers that are very interested for specific results of AI. But eventually, this is a black box. Okay, so there is data. We have a black box learning system. It learns from the past data and it makes some predictions. So sometimes it becomes important to understand what it has learned from the past data. Here we have a graphic for that. This is our financial predictor for European region. It has over 1,000 parameters as an input. But then we want to learn which parameter has more impact on the financial results for European movies. So here you see top 7 parameters. And you can see budget and P&A is 2 leading parameters, as many of you can expect as well, and content is following after that. So having perfect content, but not having right P&A and budget doesn't mean a success. That's very important. And with budget here, we don't mean like bigger budgets, right budget, because if you have like an inflated budget, then again, it becomes hard to have return on investment. And then P&A, which is not considered by most of producers, because yeah, obviously distributor is paying this money, but it's very important to have a right P&A also for the project. You can have right budgets, right content, everything is right, but if there is no right distribution strategy, right marketing budget has been put on the project, the data is showing us it has really little chance to be successful. And we also made this a bit more specific for Austrian movie industry. We have again financial model for Austrian movie industry to see what AI has learned, what parameters became more important in terms of its predictions. Here, P&A becomes #1 actually compared to Europe. It becomes even more important, but yeah, their importance is very similar with the budget. And then one parameter was not as apparent as in European model, but it is more apparent in Australian model is release week. That means seasonality is even more important in Austria compared to Europe average. It can be different again each European country, but we compare it with the average. But then again, we have content, casting, producer, director. Again, here we have 1,000 parameters. These are the parameters that are having highest impact over the financial result. Here I want to just shortly talk about this case study. You might have seen this case study that because we shared in the Berlinale, just one slide I want to mention, I mean, how you can utilize such financial models. We have seen, for example, 80 European movies who utilize our tool. So they played with the tools. So AI is forecasting some financial result. Okay, so you have this content, you put certain budget, casting, etc. It makes some forecast, but then you can optimize this. Optimize by playing a bit with your content or reducing your budget or changing the cast. Each parameter will have some certain impact. So we saw the majority of the producers, the movies they have improved their financial forecast according to AI, and this average was 60%, which was impressive. And that is a very important part of AI, because we know some producers approach, they come and then they just get it tested, they get some results with AI, they say, okay, so this is my result, I will use this for fundraising, for packaging, whatever. But the actual benefit, if you really play with that, if you really get the insights, and then you can see the potential problems or potential directions that you can go with, and then if you make the improvements in that direction, you can change a bit the story for the movie. Okay, so to make this a bit more tangible, so we will share you the results of a film that has used our system in the past. This is a film from Austria and Fuchs im Bau, a film by Golden Girls, and the director and writer is Arman Riahi. It's a really great film. And so we will look at the results that we have obtained for this film from our AI system. So for people who have not seen the film, maybe we can just watch the trailer to have an idea. I just, can you please confirm, maybe Thanos or Roland, do you have sounds? Do you have sounds? No.
No, okay, I don't.
Just one second, I think I will just reshare this because we need to.
Morgen. Ist das Frau Lehrer?
Yes.
Das ist der Herr Fuchs.
Mein Echo-Assistent.
Die sieht jetzt schon aus wie ein Opa.
Baumgartinger, hast Bluthochdruck?
Fuchs, wir Willkommen im Strafvollzug.
Kitabe, Jugendgerichtshilfe.
Fuchs, ich bin der neue Lehrer. Ich bin da, um die Frau Berger abzulösen.
Da sind Sie nicht der Erste.
Da drinnen ist es eng. Gibt's keinen Platz für Fehler.
Du siehst ungeduldig, aggressiv, hat sich die Haare geschnitten.
Man darf nicht vergessen, mit wem man es da zu tun hat.
Wollen Sie gar nicht wissen, warum die da sind?
Raufhandel, Körperverletzung, Vergewaltigung, Mord, wer weiß. Horcht's mal wirklich nur auf euren Herzschlag. Wer will einen Apfelstrudel?
Ihre Kollegin bringt viel zu viel Unruhe in den Betrieb.
Du musst das visualisieren. Gut, werft's mir raus, ist mir wurscht. Aber lasst den Kindern das malen.
Noch nicht das Leben der Irina so zur Hölle.
Hilfe!
Wieso sind Sie hier? Uns nimmt sowieso keiner mehr.
Was soll ich jetzt machen?
Das Richtige, Fuchs.
Sperr die Tür auf! Dir tut sich was an! Ich bin trotzdem Missgeburten!
Frau Lehrer, Picasso kann mir den Schwanz lutschen.
Keiner will dir deinen Schwanz lutschen.
Okay, so I think this is very nice trailer. I think it also gives a good idea of what the film is about. Now let's look at a bit AI results of this film from the screenplay of this movie that has been run by the producers, I think, over more than 1 year ago. So here, the first thing you see here, this is the genre analysis of the movie from the screenplay. Each color represents a different genre here, like blue is drama, thriller is turquoise, and yeah, comedy is red. So you can see how these genre patterns are evolving over the story. Obviously, yeah, we have drama is like a common continuous pattern over there, but then yeah, we have appearance of these more thriller scenes, and then you see some comedic elements appearing at certain parts. So these peak and valleys, actually, over these graphics, it can tell a lot of things about the movie. So normally on the system here, we have only screenshot. Normally on the system, you can navigate. You can go to specific part of the screenplay to see at which specific part what it predicts. But from the past data, just to compare with some other movies, I mean, there is interesting correlations of these structures of the movies and then what kind of results it can generate. Normally on the system, you can compare your patterns, these patterns with past movies, more than 60,000 past movies. Here we have put two examples. Deux jours, une nuit by Dardenne Brothers, 2 days, 1 night, which was Oscar nominee, Palme d'Or nominee, a great movie, starring Marion Cotillard. And the next movie, Parasites, one at the bottom, which was a huge hit. It got Oscar, it got Palme d'Or, but on top of that, it got also a lot of audience that made it very interesting. It got like close to $250 million global box office revenue. So if you look at first Deux jours, une nuit, you can see its patterns are very flat. We cannot see these peak and valleys, and we could see this in Fuchs, in Bao, and in Parasite, they are very strong, these peak and valleys, but in Deux jours, une nuit, it's very flat. So in the language of audience, actually, what we see, this means the plot points, they are more, well, let's say, very sophisticated. They are not very obvious for the audience, and it's very difficult to engage, especially the mainstream audience, if they are not very apparent. But of course, again, it doesn't tell anything about artistic value. The film is having a huge artistic value. But Parasite, that's the interesting one, because it has huge artistic value, getting these big awards. But at the same time, it gets a huge audience. And then, yeah, I mean, one reason, of course, there are many reasons, but one reason, I mean, once we look at this pattern, we can also already say that, I mean, also the audience, like mainstream audience, has probably will like this film because we have these very strong peak and valleys. And actually, if you watch the film, there are very strong plot points, many twists that are very surprising the audience. By the way, I mean, I forgot to mention, but if you have any question, please put in Q&A. We can answer those at the end of presentation. Okay, and the other thing that we get again from this movie is this age suitability analysis. Here again, sorry, again the system analyzed for each scene to find the suitability, age suitability of this contact. You can navigate to specific parts to see what the system is predicting. From this pattern, we can see, I mean, there are not too much patterns for all audiences. So that means its suitability for kids is lower for that one. From that pattern, that is something that we can understand. Okay, and then here I have another result again from this film, and then also comparison to Parasite. This is the character relationships analysis. In this graphic, the system automatically finds the importance of the characters, their relationships in a single graph. Here, the size of circles, it shows the importance of these characters. If it's bigger, that means it's more important character. The colors represent the gender. Like we have these gray colors, that means for this character, actually the system couldn't find any information related to gender. That's why it doesn't assign a gender. But then we have also these edges. They have different thicknesses. If it is thicker, that means they have more relationship inside the story. As you can see, the graphic on the right, we have a different type of relationships. This is, as I mentioned, it's Parasite, the graphic for the Parasite. It is having completely different dynamics. So here in Fox in the Box, we have strong protagonist and antagonist, and then there's a very strong relationship over there. In Parasite, we have a lot of strong relationships because the film is about the family. There are many relationships over there. It is actually in that manner is more similar to ensemble cast. So this is also a way you can visualize like the type of the film just by looking at this relationship graph. You can already tell many things about the movie. Okay, here we have casting propositions. So the system automatically makes some propositions for the casting. You can give some input in advance. Normally, without any input, it considers the DNA of your character. With DNA, what I mean, we have these 1,000 attributes. The system finds relationship of your character automatically to these 1,000 attributes. That becomes DNA of your character. And same way, we are continuously analyzing the actors, like hundreds, thousands of actors around the world with their previous projects to build also a cinematographic DNA for them. So this way, the system can automatically propose the actors having some match with the character. This we call content match. Here it's a bit small, but these percentages, content match percentages are these cinematographic DNA matches. So normally you can have your own shortlist of the actors, actresses. System will evaluate those, but it can also propose itself. So let's say you look some actor from the Netherlands speaking certain language, you can also put this kind of initial criteria constraints to the system. It will add this as well. Even if you have some visual references, you can tell you will prefer to have actors similar to that specific actor. System takes also this visual reference. It only brings the actors that are similar to that specific person. Then it will make the propositions for similar films that is useful to create your comparables. In this movie, I mean, it finds a lot of so it's about this prison school, right? Our main character is a teacher over there, so we have teenagers that are getting education over there. So for that reason, it finds a lot of themes related to this teenager friendship, school, teacher bullying, and then also underdog themes because of like being in prison. So you get many films, of course, and you can look from the different aspects, but here the idea AI brings shortly some films, and then you can go and compare this in very much detail, and you can shortlist to create your comparable list. And then the system can predict the audience. For this film, I mean, since there is this adolescent topic, so it finds a high possibility for teenager audience in terms of interest. For women, it finds a bit more interest. But again, yeah, here you can play with your content. This is again to get some initial idea what kind of audience might show more interest in your film. And sometimes, yeah, you can see some contradicting insights over here, which allows you to go a bit deeper in your project. Okay, so lastly, I will talk about this project in relation with the financial forecasts. So obviously, for financial forecasts, it's not too much reliable in the COVID time because the regulations are changing all the time. But here, this was some prediction considering if the film was having a limited release, like around 30 theaters in Austria. It was that's the prediction of the system. It was predicting that to get with high confidence to get a revenue around 180 and 300,000, which is like in terms of admissions between like 16 to 25,000 admissions. But we also tested. I mean, we said, okay, let's consider no pandemic situation, and also if it could get more P&A and a bit more wider release, what will be the forecast like? So here, I think we had like 70, 80 theaters, and then which is supported with close to 0.4 million P&A budget, 0.3, I think, yeah, 0.3 million P&A budget. Here we see the potential of the forecast done by system is increasing. It goes as high as 66,000. Sorry, 66,000 admissions. So this is something very important that you can play with. But one thing to consider over here, so it should be aligned with your distribution strategy. So you should have a P&A strategy, a distribution pattern, and then you can have like different scenarios, which can you present even to your distributor to show, okay, so you say, okay, with that kind of P&A investment, you foresee this kind of return. Yeah. And one more thing over here that we make streaming predictions. Again, same type of pattern that in a streaming release, the system predicts this movie can attract as high as 250 households at first month of the release on a wider streaming release. Okay, so I hope this gives you a bit of idea how you can utilize AI systems for your movies. We have many more tools, but yeah, I mean, we could only show like the most important ones here. At that point, I will give the word to Thanos, who will provide you some insights about the Austrian film industry with the data that we aggregated by using results from last 20 years.
Thank you, Sami. The data I'm going to present, as Sami said, corresponds to some movies that we analyzed in our systems, movies that were released in the past 20 years. So we have analyzed 155 Austrian movies and 30,000 movies from the rest of the world. And here we will first see some genre trends that our system predicted that these genres were present in these movies. So the values on the graphs are percentage-wise correspond to the presence that our system detected of each genre inside these movies. So in the first graph, we can see that drama generally has very high presence. And if we compare Austria with the blue line with the worldwide average with the red line, we can see that over the course of the past 20 years, the drama in Austrian movies has been consistently over the worldwide average, with the exception of one outlier of some movies in 2015, where they are closely matched. We can see that in Austria, Austrian movies drama is predicted to be generally higher. In contrast, if we look at comedy in the next graph, we can see that the comedy genre, our system finds it to be in Austrian movies generally in line with the worldwide average as well. In the past few years, maybe we see that in Austrian movies, comedy is detected a bit less. And also one more thing to note is that over the course of these 20 years, we see also a slight decline in the comedy genre in general over the movies analyzed, both in Austria and in worldwide average. So if we continue to the next slide, still we can look at some more genres. So if we analyze the action genre, we can see that for Austrian movies, we see that the action genre is detected consistently below the worldwide average, with the exception of 2015 again, with some movies that were released at that year. Whereas in romance, the Austrian movies are slightly higher consistently than the worldwide average. And again, we see a downward trend developing over the course of these 20 years. So if we go to next slide, here on this graph, we have aggregated all this data over the course of 20 years for all the genres that our system detected in these movies. So the most noteworthy points to make here are first in the drama genre. As I said before, we see that in average, in Austrian movies, the drama genre is more prominent than the worldwide average. And another genre that Austrian films separate themselves from the rest of the world is the action genre. And again, as we saw before, we generally see less action. Our system finds less action in the Austrian movies compared to other countries. So another thing that we analyzed related to the genres detected is their correlation to high box office performance. What we can see in this table, a positive value for a genre indicates a positive effect, a positive relationship with good performance in the box office, whereas the negative values indicate a negative relationship. And here we see an interesting contradiction. For the action genre, for example, we see that when the action genre is present, it actually results to good and higher performance in the box office. But this contradicts with the fact that actually in the data that we analyzed, the action genre was less present in the Austrian movies than the rest of the world. So here we see that perhaps if action was more dominant in some of these movies, it would result in even better box office performance. On the other hand, for the drama genre, which was pretty dominant in the Austrian movies analyzed, we see that in correlation with the box office, this actually has a slightly negative effect to the box office results. So here, as Sami said before, our system creates a movie genome about the content of the movie, where we detect the main ingredients that were found inside the script or video of the movie. So here we see for the worldwide movies that we analyzed, some top genes that were detected have to do with relationships or intimate or melancholic content or loneliness, for example. And if we look at similar analysis also for Austrian movies now, we see that a lot of those genes are similar as in the worldwide case. Again, we see some genes like loneliness, intimate relationships, and so on. So in general, we see that the content genes that were detected are very similar. But the reason that why this is happening, and it's noteworthy here, it is that the movies that we analyzed, both in Austria and the rest of the world, the majority of them have to do with art house and independent films. So that's why we see a focus on more relationships and sentimental content, whereas in contrast with what one might expect if we had more blockbusters or high-grossing big-budget movies. So in the next slide, another part we analyzed for Austrian movies is the gender diversity trends that we detected. So we looked at the top 3 characters in a movie and their casting choices and calculated the percentage of female actors that were cast in these roles. So we can see that for the first character, for example, we see 32% in Austrian films of female actors, and 33% in worldwide, so about 1/3. And we see this number increasing if we go to more secondary characters and approaching more closely to 50%. And in general, we can see that, especially, for example, in third character, and also if we average over the top 3 characters, we see that in Austrian movies, the diversity figure is slightly better for Austria than the worldwide average, with 41% in contrast to 38%. So it looks like Austria is doing better than many of other countries in the world in this remark, but of course there is still ground to cover to come closer to a 50% diversity. Okay, so thank you. That will be all from my side in the data analysis. Back to you, Sami.
Yeah, thank you, Thanos. Maybe just to connect from that point, I think this is diversity topic. We can utilize AI strongly on that topic. We can get many benefits. And we already make some applications. For example, if you don't give gender as a parameter to AI and still try to get its proposition that can bring match with the character or like this more higher forecast for the financial results, we see we can achieve that. For example, we just made this analysis for this popular question, who will be next James Bond? That is a big question now after the retirement of Daniel Craig from the movie. So there, for example, we said, okay, let's remove the gender parameter from AI and then try to see which kind of actors AI is proposing in terms of match. We saw it proposed till many women, many actresses as well, who that the system sees the movie can be as successful as the man actors. Of course, it has not been tried, but just to show, because AI is also looking many connections. Okay, as human experience producers, we look at experience, we look at the connections, and we make the selection. AI makes many connections as well in a broader way, but then you can easily close one parameter, and then you still say, okay, look all connection and bring me some potential possibilities. It's very difficult to make this with the human brain because we have already these biases. It's hard to get this out. That's something we can do easily with AI. The another thing we do in that manner is the ethnicity problem. For example, we don't give ethnicity data to AI. So AI is making casting propositions as ethnicity blind. So it looks all potential matches, okay, of the characters, really what is the character about. And then for actors, it looks the same thing. It makes the propositions this way without considering ethnicity. Again, it's also a way to overcome ethnicity problem. I mean, of course, it cannot just overcome itself, but at least because AI is bringing you some short lists in front of you, and sometimes you can see the type of the actors maybe you would never consider, maybe because of certain bias. But since AI brings in front of you with certain match that can change your perspective, maybe to even make you consider that specific actor. Okay, I hope, so this was just a short data summary. We can get many other interesting results, but here, yeah, this is what we wanted to present today. But before we can look if there's any question as well, maybe before going there, I can already make our announcements for the applications that I mentioned at the start of the presentation. So in a collaboration with the support of Austrian Film Institute, we will get 10 producers from Austria to use the tools for 6 months for their films in production. So if you are interested in that, please go make your application from the application form that you see over here. We will send this by email as well. So if you cannot copy, don't worry about that. The application deadline is January 14. And then the program will start in February. And during the program, you will get training over how to use these tools. And then you will have access in monthly basis. You can apply, run analysis over your content that could be different stages from pre-production to post-production and distribution stages. Okay, so I think if there is any questions, we can go over those. Let me check. We have one question. So the question is how to avoid bias in AI, especially with regards to stereotypes in selecting actors with regards to gender and corresponding role. So if you don't do anything, if you just give the past data to AI and it learns from that, it will exactly learn the bias of what we had so far. But that's the thing. I mean, we can easily manipulate the type of the data that we give AI. So as I mentioned, we can just remove gender information. So it doesn't, then it looks the success of the actors from the past without having gender information. It will consider other values. It will learn other values. Or same thing, ethnicity, as I gave in the ethnicity example. So AI is making, actually, it is a tool to accelerate, to overcome such biases. Okay,
we had one more question in the chat before. Sorry, Sami. Not in Q&A. In the chat, we had one more about how the system generates the data. Does it parse the script, or does a person need to enter that data? The answer is that yes, our system generates the screenplay that the user uploads. So there's no need for manual input related to content. The input has to do with budget and director, screenwriter, facts like that. And that's one important value of AI as well. So you can get many insights in a few minutes. So you upload screenplay into the system, and then it generates again these results in a few minutes. How did it learn? So also, yeah, we can talk about the learning of the system. Maybe Thanos, you can explain the learning process. Yes, so if we're talking about the content related to genre, I guess is the question, where we saw the genre graph present for every scene. Yeah, so we analyze, for example, the screenplay, and the system has been trained to find, words, phrases, expressions that are commonly associated with certain sentiments. So the system has been trained with a large volume of data, a large volume of content, and it learns to detect some patterns that connect the screenplay and the text present in the screenplay to certain content.
One important thing here, we don't make the definition of the context to the system. So for example, to teach drama, we give many drama screenplays, and it sees many drama screenplays, it starts to learn what kind of patterns are associated with the drama by human, so it gets this learning. So the key thing here, I mean, because if you tell what is the drama to AI, I will give my own bias, my own definition of drama. One key thing, we try to avoid that, so we don't make not to give our own bias. We give the concepts in an open way, and then give a lot of content. It starts to learn what are the type of patterns associated with a certain context. Which languages are supported? At this moment, we are supporting 9 languages, including German. So we can upload directly a German screenplay onto the system, so it automatically makes its prediction directly from the German script. Okay, we have another question, I think. Referring to the relationships graphic, how does the system identify protagonist versus antagonist? It doesn't tell you who is protagonist and antagonist, but if you see, as in our example, 2 big circles, and then one is slightly bigger, so you can already yourself identify protagonist, who is protagonist or who is antagonist. Or sometimes we have seen with some producers in the past, so they expect to see 2 big circles, but they see 3 big circles, and they are very similar to each other. So then they realize maybe one specific character has been overrepresented, and then it shadows, let's say, antagonist. So sometimes you can also identify this kind of specific problems by looking at this graph. Okay. I think we don't have any other question. Do you have any other thing to add, Roland?
Well, not really. I mean, I think this is really, really fascinating and extremely interesting. And I think you have to try this with a concrete project and then find out yourself. So I can really only encourage everybody to apply. Because it's a great opportunity to get 6 tickets, so to say, to participate in the program for half a year and learn from that. So I think it's really worth it. And I would just like to add, just don't be afraid. I don't think that artificial intelligent analyzers will replace funding decisions or committees or whatever. I mean, even though funding decisions are always, very, very tricky and hard and very often criticized, of course. But I think it might be interesting to have a sort of objective basis, or another objective basis, to take funding decisions, but it'll always be the human factor in the end, I think. But you can learn extremely well and a lot, I think, from running through a program like this, even though the program might be more, at least at the beginning, probably made for American studio thinking on Netflix or things like that, and not for independent European art house filmmaking. But I think you can still profit from that, and just try it out. Just try it out without fear.
Great. Yeah, thank you very much. Maybe one last question before closing. From where do the AI get the data to compare fitting casts and films to the actual submitted screenplay? So these are 2 different things. So screenplay, it finds your characters, and then it creates a cinematographic DNA for your character. So this is on one side. On the other side, we continuously analyze the actors, like hundreds of thousands of actors with their past performances. So if an actor appears in one movie, our system directly considers this movie, his performance, and then it contributes to his cinematographic DNA. So basically, we always have these live cinematographic DNAs of the actors, and on the other side, we have your character DNAs. Then it finds the ones having highest fits to your characters. It makes the propositions this way. This is purely for fictional scripted films, or can you predict documentary revenues performance as well? It can work. It works both on fictional movies, series, and also documentaries. For documentaries, there are the parts that you cannot use. For example, yeah, box office revenues in general, it becomes invalid, but still you can use all the other like this genre analysis, age suitability analysis, similar content analysis. Especially for documentaries, pre-production analysis, if you don't have a scripted formats, then you cannot analyze at this stage, but then you can analyze at rough cut stage. So once you have a first video version, because the system analyzes also the videos, so you upload the video version of the film, it makes the analysis over that. If you have scripted version for your documentary, you can even make the analysis from pre-production stage. Okay, great. I think we answered all the questions, and thank you very much. If you have any other questions, please reach to us. We can reply by email as well. We will send you the recording of this workshop afterwards, and then also the details for the application. Thank you very much for your participation. Thank you, Roland, also for your contribution. It was a pleasure to have you today as well. Thank you, Thanos, for your contribution as well. And have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you.